Hello, it's Phil at digitaldjtips.com, looking today at the Reloop Mixon 4 controller. Now this controller's got quite a few uniques, so let's start running through them. The first thing is, it works with the iPad Pro. Now any iPad compatible DJ controller will work with the iPad Pro, but the thing about this one is you can actually slot the iPad Pro into the built-in physical slot, so it's there in front of you and it fits the unit, so you don't have to worry about another stand, and it's the first controller that does that. Now it works with djay Pro software, Algoriddim's djay Pro software, which runs on the iPad Pro really nicely because djay Pro is 4-channel, and that brings me to another unique feature of this. It's the first djay Pro compatible controller with 4 full channels on it, so you can control the full power of this program on iPad, which is really good. You don't have to use an iPad Pro. You can use a normal iPad, you can use an iPad mini, you can even use a phone if you really want to. They will all work here, but obviously it works best with the iPad Pro. And actually I find that with the iPad on the unit and low down like that, most DJs prefer to have their display up. That's why you see DJs with controllers and a laptop on a stand rather than on the table next to them, because it saves them to look down and kind of squint at it. With an iPad Pro in a controller this size, actually it's not too bad having the iPad down there in that slot. It works better than any other controller like this that I've used. So that's the djay Pro with iPad bit. The other thing about this controller, or one of the other things that's stand out, is just the sheer number of things that it works with. So officially it works with this software on iOS, but also this software on Mac OS, so you can use the Mac version of djay Pro. It also works with djay Pro on Android. Now the lead I have plugged in here is a lightning cable, but there is an adapter for the supplied USB lead, which turns it into an Android lead, so you can use an Android tablet, compatible Android tablet, with the same software on Android. You can also use it with Serato DJ software on both Mac and PC. And it comes with a Traktor mapping from the Reloop site as well. You can use it with Traktor, and it also works with Virtual DJ. So an awful lot of choice there for software and hardware platforms. That said, none of the software comes with it, so you're going to have to buy the package or packages you want to use. It has some pretty advanced features as well. It works with the pitch play function in Serato DJ. Now pitch play is where you can take a sample or a loop and you can play by moving up and down a semitone a time on the pads. Now if you're interested in how this works, our Denon DJ MCX 8000 review has got a demonstration of that in it. Suffice to say, it does work, it's awesome. We've tested this unit with Serato DJ. Serato DJ controllers all work pretty much in the same way. This one has got all the functions you could imagine. It's fully featured for Serato DJ, so that means things like slicer, flip mode, and the aforementioned pitch play, this is only the second controller I think out there that uses pitch play after the MCX 8000 that I just mentioned. So fully featured on Serato. Everything works as you would expect. We're using it with djay Pro here today because that's kind of its most standout software feature. That's kind of the software side of it. Let's have a look at the actual unit itself and talk through how the hardware works. So I'm going to talk you through what we've got here. So it is about the size of something like the Pioneer DDJ RX or SX or the Denon MC 7000 controller. It's kind of like one of those big 4-channel chunky controllers. It feels well built. It's got a nice metal top. The buttons here are quite hard. They're not the rubbery buttons, but that said, the massive Rgb pads are rubberized and they're very nice. They're 3 by 3 centimeters, which are really big, and they work really nicely. 4 full channels. It's got 4 filters and also a very nice function where you can turn on one of the effects units for the filters and tie an effect to the filter. So as you're turning the filter in either direction, you're also adding an effect to that sound. That's quite a good function. It works with both Serato and with djay, so that's a good addition to this controller, one of its USPs. But as I say, 4 full channels. They've got 3 band EQ, almost kill, and the gain and everything you'd expect going on there. You have Reloop's really good low profile jog wheels. Reloop have really nailed jog wheels. I can't think of any controller they've ever made in recent history anyway whose jog wheels haven't been absolutely perfect. A really nice function is the loop button with the lights. So there's some lights on the loop function which tell you whether you're looping 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 or 32 bars. 32 bars, all the lights are on, and then there's a light to indicate all the way down to beats rather, not bars. And then when you go below 1 beat, it shows you the fraction of the beat by flashing the LED. So at an instant glance, you can see what fraction or what multiple of beats you're going to be looping. So that's really nice. So apart from that, the functions on here are what you would expect on a fully featured software controller, but we will just have a little look through them. So at the top, we have quite a small pitch fader actually. It's 14-bit, so Reloop say, but it's just quite short. I'd like to have seen that a bit longer. We have the full standard effects unit with nice weighted controls, apart from the step encoder at the end for your beats, and you can select by holding down shift and pressing the on or off buttons to select the effects for each area. The usual slip mode, vinyl, nudge selectors for the jog wheel here. Sensor mode, there's a nice key sync, so you can sync the key if you're using pitch and play. Pitch and time with Serato, which is a plugin in Serato that lets you do that. That's also needed for the pitch play function, by the way. And also Serato Flip, while we're just talking about add-ons, is also needed for this. The good thing about both Serato DJ and DJ Pro nowadays is that they both have streaming services. Serato DJ has Pulse Locker and DJ Pro has Spotify built in, but again, you need to upgrade in order to use those. You need to pay a subscription. I've got diverted a bit here. We were talking about the hardware. Let's get back to it. So I've told you about the auto loop function. Big play, pause, cue, sync buttons here, which again, as I've said, are quite hard, but they work nicely. You've got the full functioned pads, so hot cue, cue loop, loop roll, save loop, sampler, pitch play, slicer loop, velocity sampler, it's all there. Big buttons for changing decks on each side, and a really loose crossfader and a nice bit of weight on the up faders there as well. So round the back of the unit is where we see what I think is one of the limitations of this unit. So down here we have our XLRs and our RCA outputs, all good here. We have a TRS booth output, all good there. There's a Kensington lock here. Flipping around to the other side, this is where we have our power input with a nice little loop there so you can stop it being pulled out accidentally. There's our on-off and there's our USB. But you'll have noticed absolutely no extra inputs. This is purely a software controller. Now around the front of the unit there is a microphone input, but that's it. So you can plug a microphone in, it'll go straight to the output. There's a little volume control there for it, but there's not even an auxiliary input, and I think that's an omission on a controller of this standard. There should be at least the ability to plug, you know, your phone in or something to get auxiliary in there should there be a problem with the system, should your iPad or your MacBook or your PC go down. You know, it's always nice to have something wired in so you can just quickly hit play and reboot. So that isn't here, and that's surprising. I would have thought they would have put something like that on here. So apart from that, we're looking at everything you would expect on a controller like this. You can assign each of the channels to the left, right, or through on the crossfader. There's a crossfader curve. You've got all the library functions you'd expect, including the window control functions and the ability to navigate between the folder tree and the files themselves in each individual folder. Prepare window and all that kind of stuff is there. And individual VU meters for each channel, so you can set your gains separate from the output VU. So again, that's all the kind of thing you'd expect on a controller like this. For me, if you're after a 4-channel professional DJ Pro controller that works with your iPad, this is it. This is the only one that's out there. It's awesome. Same if you want to use DJ Pro concurrently with that on your Mac. Really good. You know, it also works for Android. There's some lovely Android tablets out there that are similar to this nowadays. Again, it's fantastic. It's the first really professional 4-channel controller for that kind of platform. If you want any kind of hardware mixing at all, even an auxiliary, this isn't the controller for you because it just isn't there. But that caveat aside, it is one of a kind, and it is the Mixon 4 from Reloop. As I say, I've written up the full review over there on Digital DJ Tips, so go take a look at that. If you found this useful, please subscribe to the channel, and also you can join Digital DJ Tips. All the links are below and around me, so do that, and I'll see you again very soon.